I refuse to wear a mask, and Chris, I have to tell you something else. I'm not vaccinated, and I will be standing strong, standing up for the people across this country that refuse to get vaccinated.
Eventually, it caught up with her financially. As The Hill notes, House rules fine lawmakers $500 for their first infraction with the mask mandate and $2,500 for subsequent breaches. The second one really hurts, to be withdrawn from their yearly pay. Greene racked up more than $100,000 in fines. That's a lot of times refusing to wear a mask. That is also well over half of her annual salary.
Hey everyone, I'm Gabe Sanchez, and welcome back to What Was That? MAGA Republicans have been facing some tough challenges lately, and one idiot in particular is the delusional Marjorie Taylor Greene. She tried to get the Supreme Court to erase her $100,000 plus fines that she racked up for defying mask mandates during the pandemic, and unfortunately for her, the court told her to get lost and pay up.
Aw, too bad and so sad.
Marjorie Taylor Greene is a lot like your racist drunk aunt or uncle from Facebook. The only difference is old Marge is in office, and instead of hearing them yell about their crazy QAnon conspiracy theories on Thanksgiving, it's all year long, and it's all over the news. Now, if you weren't aware, during the pandemic, there was a simple rule on the House floor: wear a face mask. You know, because there was a novel virus causing people to die around the world. So the bare minimum that was being asked was to distance and wear face masks. Now, you'd think the so-called pro-life Christians would be all about saving lives, but like always with the GOP, no.
Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make.
The rule was simple: if you don't wear a mask on the House floor, you'd be fined $500, and every subsequent offense would result in $2,500 each. Seems like a pretty straightforward rule with straightforward consequences.
The more you around, the more you're gonna find out.
However, apparently this is a very difficult concept to understand for Marjorie Taylor Greene and her Republican colleagues.
You can't discriminate against people simply because they won't wear a mask.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
And today, I refuse to wear a mask on the House floor, and I received a warning from Speaker Pelosi that leads to fines if I continue to refuse to wear a mask. Well, here's what I think of your warning, Speaker Pelosi.
Marjorie Taylor Greene even took a selfie with Mary Miller, Ralph Norman, and Thomas Massie to protest against their so-called oppressors. Marge tweeted the photo along with a caption, #FreeYourFace. Masks are oppressive and nothing but a political tool. End the oppression. What is the deal with white Republicans always trying to make themselves the victims?
I'm the victim. Me.
And I guess somehow wearing a thin piece of fabric for the small amount of time that you're on the House floor is torture. Or in Marjorie Taylor Greene's case, it's comparable to the Holocaust.
This woman is mentally ill. You know, we can look back at a time in history where people were told to wear a gold star, and they were definitely treated like second-class citizens, so much so that they were put in trains and taken to gas chambers in Nazi Germany.
Wow, okay, I think we can safely say that is the worst take in modern history, but what do you expect? She is an anti-Semitic idiot. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massie, and Ralph Norman attempted to overturn their fines when they opted not to wear face masks on the House floor. I also want you to know that before Marge and her friends tried to appeal this in court, they tried with the House Ethics Committee and were rejected. So while Massie and Norman protested only briefly, Greene continued to show up for votes without a mask for most of 2021 and into 2022. She eventually accumulated more than $100,000 in fines, which were docked from her $174,000 annual salary. In March 2022, a U.S. district judge in Washington threw out the lawmaker's case. The judge rejected their argument that the fines amounted to an illegal reduction in their annual salary and said Pelosi and her staff cannot be sued for decisions made in the government capacity. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit upheld that ruling in June, and that's when Marjorie Taylor Greene demanded to speak to the manager being the Supreme Court. Now, say what you will about our incompetent and billionaire-loving Supreme Court, but sometimes they get it right.
Greene racked up more than $100,000 in fines. That's a lot of times refusing to wear a mask. That is also well over half of her annual salary. So the Congresswoman and two of her colleagues, Thomas Massie of Kentucky and Ralph Norman of South Carolina, brought a lawsuit, of course they did, against then Speaker Nancy Pelosi and other House staffers. They argued basically that the fines amounted to an illegal reduction of their salary. They lost in front of the district court, again at the U.S. Court of Appeals, and now the Supreme Court has refused the case altogether, allowing the lower court ruling to stand. So, as it turns out, the rules apply to you too, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Mask up or pay up.
I'm honestly surprised that Marjorie Taylor Greene was even able to count to $100,000 when filing her appeal. I mean, we know how much she struggles with numbers.
What it did to our children's math and reading levels is horrific. School closures brought them to the lowest levels in years. English 8th graders, math proficiency dropped by 7 points. Reading levels dropped by 2 points. There are 524 and 481. This is over 1 million, 1.5 million.
And when she doesn't like a number, she calls it fake.
These are fake numbers. Nikki Haley does not have this much support. She's going to come out and claim that she's rising in the polls. All these fake news media people up here on this platform are going to claim that Nikki Haley is rising in the polls. It's a total, complete lie. Absolute lie.
But what do you expect? Old Marge doesn't even know how to read.
This historical evidence is overwhelming that the founding fathers intended impeachment to be used to deal with the commission of indictable crimes and the abuse of power.
And even if she started taking up reading, I'm not so sure that she'd be able to find a book, on account of the GOP burning books. Like Valentina Gomez, who's running for Missouri Secretary of State.
This is what I will do to the Greene books when I become Secretary of State.
Let's go. Welcome to the main event. Applying pressure, but I promise I ain't make it down.
These books come from Missouri Public Library. When I'm in office, they will burn.
Republicans will tell you that they're not fascist, but then in that same breath, they'll take a page out of Joseph Goebbels' book and then immediately proceed to burn it. Maybe Republicans should focus less on banning books and more on actually doing the job that they were elected to do. But like always, Republicans are unproductive. They just stand there useless while banning books. We should just ban the fascists, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has an ongoing struggle with basic math skills.
Well, we can basically look at this as a game, unfortunately, and their strategy. And they hid one of their members, waiting to the last minute, watching to see our votes, trying to throw us off on the numbers that we had versus the numbers they had. So yeah, that was a strategy at play tonight.
This is not a game, but Republicans always play like it is. It's always about owning the libs, regardless of the collateral damage. But Marjorie Taylor Greene's claim that Democrats had some secret strategy is idiotic. It's basic policy making. Someone proposes a bill, and then everyone else votes on it. It's not rocket science. Now, she may not be a rocket scientist, but Marjorie Taylor Greene does claim that she has a PhD in recognizing BS.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not a doctor, but I have a PhD in recognizing bullshit when I hear it.
Yeah, Marge, we know, and we're very glad you're not.
We also knew that children were at no risk, practically zero risk of being hospitalized or deaths from COVID-19.
And just for context, Marjorie Taylor Greene is responding to an expert witness who testified that the COVID-19 vaccine and booster saved millions of lives. In case you needed another reason to dislike this horrible anti-life Republican.
It's time to be honest about the vaccine injured, and we need to stop allowing these COVID-19 vaccines to be given out to children.
Young lady's time has expired.
Seriously, the fact that she sits on a committee is nuts, which I guess makes sense when you remember that she's clinically insane.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry you all had to go through that. That was a lot of conspiracy theories and wild accusations, which we know have been debunked by medical science, and we should be clear that vaccines work and save lives, and they have millions of lives in this country. Countless posts has spread misinformation, encouraged parents to refuse routine vaccinations for their children, which you just heard, by the way, and even compared our pandemic efforts responses to the Holocaust. I want to just actually read something which is in the public record. I'm not saying anything that's not in the public record. That a member of this committee actually said, the same person that is actually attacking vaccines, said that vaccinated employees get a vaccination logo, just like the Nazis forced Jewish people to wear a gold star. I want to read that again. Vaccinated employees get a vaccination logo, just like the Nazis forced Jewish people to wear a gold star. That is the level of insanity and attacks that we are having here as we actually debate the lives saved around vaccinations. Now, this same member has also held shadow public hearings promoting ideas that COVID is a bioweapon to target people of specific races and that vaccines, and I quote, cause turbo cancers. I want to read you this quote, and it's again in the public record at a hearing. Have the COVID vaccines resulted in an increase in cancers And are turbo cancers real? Now, Mr. Chairman, this is, in my opinion, just insanity. We know that's not the case. Dr. Marks, can you clarify once again for the American people, do the COVID vaccines cause turbo cancers?
I'm a oncologist that's board certified. I don't know what a turbo cancer is.
I showed this clip because we need to continue to do what Representative Garcia is doing in this committee hearing, calling out the idiocy of Republican politicians. We need to mock them at every single turn. I mean, that's why I keep making this show. Unfortunately, the pro-life party won't lift a finger to save the children. People like Marjorie Taylor Greene won't even get the vaccine themselves.
People like me. I'm not vaccinated.
I refuse to wear a mask, and Chris, I have to tell you something else. I'm not vaccinated.
I'm not vaccinated.
I'm not vaccinated.
Which is a little weird when you find out that she owns stock in pharmaceutical companies that make these vaccines. Also, it was in that same Whitfield County office where Marjorie Taylor Greene brought out a cardboard cutout of Trump, praised him, and then began rubbing her hand on his crotch. Definitely not a cult though. But seriously, this woman is an embarrassment to our democracy and needs to be removed from office ASAP because if left alone, she might do some real harm. But thankfully, she's kinda busy losing court cases and getting drunk on camera at Trump's parties.
This primary is over with. Can you imagine being a donor and lighting your money on fire like that? Donating to Nikki Haley, begging her to stay in the race? I mean, these political consultants, they should go to jail.
Well, that's all for me today. Thanks.